Southern West Virginia Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine and Man Pharmacy present What's Your Opinion? What's your opinion about facts, figures, and situations? Southern West Virginia Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine and Man Pharmacy present a program to express your views. Now, your host for this Tuesday?
Yeah, and once again,
edition of What's Your Opinion?
A double shot of Jay.
Jay Nunley.
Actually, Duke is sick, so we won't be hearing his usual liberal garbage. In fact, we've got a much better fill-in as far as that goes, and that's State Senator Evan Jenkins, also the Republican nominee for the U.S. House of Representatives for the 3rd District of West Virginia. Welcome, and thank you for being here.
It's great to be here, Jay. Thanks so much, and hope our ailing friend gets better soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully a little medicine will clear up his politics, too.
We can only hope for that. Now, again, before anybody gets all upset, especially Duke's mom, we love him and we hope he feels better. I'm just making fun of him a little bit. Now, this is going to be a forum for you to talk about whatever you want as a candidate for the 3rd District congressional seat. And I've got a couple of questions, and I also want to give you an opportunity to respond to allegations and other, I guess, claims made by Congressman Nick Rahall, and not necessarily his camp, but whether it be the DNC or the PACs or anybody else that are spending money against you on this stuff. So a chance in a long form, other than just having to talk in a soundbite, to respond to some of this stuff if you wish.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jay. Welcome the opportunity. It's great to be in Logan County and in downtown Logan this morning.
The first question I have for you is, should you win the election in November, what are some of the first things you want to try to get done in your first, let's say, 100 days of being the 3rd District representative?
Electing me this November is going to send a very powerful message, in particular to this president and to Nancy Pelosi, because Nick Rahall has been one of their biggest supporters. We all remember back in 2008 when Nick Rahall, over the will of the Democratic voters in the primary and others, said he wants Barack Obama as president. And so he got what he asked for. And then he went out and he doubled down in 2012 and fought for him again. And the chickens are coming home to roost. So the very first thing that will happen after an election of Evan Jenkins for Congress this November is a very powerful message to Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi that the people of West Virginia and southern West Virginia and our coal communities in particular say enough is enough. And I will be leading the effort within the Republican caucus, who is in control of Congress, to stand up and fight against the Obama Pelosi agenda in this very real war on coal. So that's what I will be doing, not only the first 100 days, but every day of the 2 years that this term affords, is standing up at every opportunity to this president.
Is that war on coal the primary issue that West Virginians have with President Obama and the people who are on his side of the political arena, or are there other things?
There are a number of things, but this war on coal is so devastating to our coal communities and our coal families. It is at the top of the priority list. This administration took on 4 issues. And Barack Obama said he is going to double down, essentially, during his last term and now looking at the last 2 years. The takeover of health care. I'm in the health care world. I work in health care. I know how important the ability for patients to access quality health care and to be able to choose who their own doctor is. So health care, this president, this administration is trying to put government in charge of your health care. Secondly, the war on our Second Amendment rights. We've got to stand up and protect the Second Amendment and make sure that this war on our rights and our constitutional freedoms and liberties is not won by the Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi agenda. Third, immigration. We see what is happening in our southern borders, but it's not just something that's happened in these last couple of weeks. This administration has an agenda that talks about amnesty. And we can't allow us to have the borders that are essentially open and free for anybody to come in. And, of course, the issue of the war on coal. It is so real. It is impacting so many people. It is devastating to southern West Virginia. It's devastating to our communities. So when you look at the attack on our rights and liberties, the overtake of our health care, the immigration policy that's just letting anybody come across the borders, and the war on coal, those are what this administration is going to be doubling down these last 2 years. And I will be a staunch fighter for our jobs, our communities, and our families. And then you also have to look at the issue of our seniors. Nick Ray Hall voted to take $700 billion out of Medicare, jeopardizing its solvency when he supported Obamacare. We need to protect health care for our seniors. We must protect Social Security. We must protect Medicare. And I will be a leader in the fight because I understand how our health care system works. So there's a lot to do. There's a lot to turn around this country and getting it heading back in the right direction because we have lost tragically so much. And these next 2 years are going to be so important to get our country headed back in the right direction.
Going through the points one by one, when you're talking about the healthcare system, will you look to repeal the Affordable Care Act?
We need to fix the Affordable Care Act. Yes, we need to repeal it, and we need to fix it, and we need to put in real solutions. We need to take care of people with pre-existing conditions, and we had a program in West Virginia called Access West Virginia that offered coverage at very reasonable prices for people with pre-existing conditions. Guess what? Obamacare basically required that program to be wiped off the books in West Virginia. We need to make sure that kids who are off at school, dependents of their parents, can stay on a parent's policy for a few years, again, while they're in school, getting that education. And we had that in West Virginia, and Obamacare overwrote the West Virginia law. There are so many things that we can do, and we're doing, to have good quality health care. But it is, to me, very frustrating when it's the bureaucrats in Washington, supported by Nick Ray Hall in Obamacare, that say, we the bureaucrats, we Washington know, we're going to tell you you have to buy a product, health insurance. We're going to tell you what is in that product so you don't get any choice of getting the coverage you want. And third, if you don't buy what we tell you to buy, we're going to fine you and send you an extra tax bill. That is the wrong way. We need market-based solutions. And again, my expertise in the healthcare arena starts at the very fundamental principle that we must preserve the doctor-patient relationship and make sure that individuals have the right to choose the doctor that best fits their needs. What is happening? Don't forget, and everybody says, we've had a couple of years of Obamacare. There are, 35 different delays and, quote, fixes that this administration has put forward. We don't even know the real ramifications. We've not liked a lot of what we've seen so far. You just wait till all of these politically motivated delays that this administration has authorized with just simply his pen, when they kick in. And as I tour and visit all 18 counties in this congressional race, we are hearing chapter and verse of people, even our good union coal miners who are seeing, the unions being out supporting historically Obama in his race in 2008 and 2012. The unions are the ones most up in arms about the Obamacare taxing of their health insurance plans. So things aren't turning out near what a lot of people had hoped originally.
When you go to the Second Amendment, this is the right to bear arms. When you're talking about there being an attack, is this in the wake of the school shooting, especially the one in Connecticut, where they were talking about limiting the magazines and also adding background checks, or actually enforcing background checks that were already in law? Are you saying that there should be less gun law, or we should enforce the ones we have, or we should have smarter gun laws? I'm not sure. What is your position there with the Second Amendment in terms of gun rights and your reaction to what the Obama administration has done?
I feel for these families, these communities, these children that have tragically lost their lives.
Sure.
We have had some horrific incidents where people have gone on a clearly a crazed and tragically taken lives. And we must do everything we can to protect our children and our citizens, our communities. But I think in this debate and discussion about our constitutional rights and freedoms, I think the focus needs to be focused on mental health. And we need to make sure that we are not getting guns in the hands of people who are mentally ill, who have been found as such, who are known as such, and we must protect law-abiding citizens with their rights to purchase guns and ammunition as the Constitution entitles them to. But I think a lot needs to be focused on the mental health aspect, because when you peel back the layers in the investigations of these tragedies, you will find that you've got some very sick individuals who are carrying out these heinous acts with deep, severe mental conditions. And yes, these are the people we need to make sure that we don't get guns in the hands of.
I'll make a statement, and you tell me whether or not you agree. The first statement would be that we have more than enough gun laws on the books, most of which are unenforceable or ridiculous.
There, unfortunately, is an attitude and a belief that in response to a tragedy, that it can be fixed with a new law. And that's not necessarily the case. I agree, just passing laws is not the answer, and restricting rights and freedoms is certainly not the answer. And I agree that we have way too many oftentimes laws, rules, and regulations that aren't adequately and appropriately enforced. A perfect example is the tragic water spill in Kanawha County in Charleston. In the Senate Judiciary Committee, I led the charge in questioning the head of our state DEP, and he acknowledged under my questioning that there were regulations on the books that entitled DEP before the spill to go in and look to see if the containment system was up to snuff and to inspect the property. These things weren't done like they should have been. Had they been done, we wouldn't have had the tragedy. So just more rules, laws, and regulations is unfortunately for some that always seems to be the answer. That's not the answer from my perspective.
Does it end up being a political reaction? They want to be perceived that they're doing something about whatever tragedy has happened?
You know, the public rightfully, after an incident like the water spill in Charleston, deserves and should say, why did this happen? What steps are being taken to make sure it doesn't happen again? And it is incumbent upon policymaker and our elected leaders to do everything they can to make sure we have good, clean, safe water to drink. But unfortunately, too often, the attitude is, well, let's just pass a law and we'll claim we fixed it. Well, I think it takes a little more due diligence and a little more analysis, and to say, let's really address things that will make a difference and fix problems that truly led to a crisis, but make sure and be honest with the public that if there are things on the books that just weren't appropriately enforced, let's have the political guts to step up to say, you know what, government wasn't doing the job it already was empowered to do.
And do you find that moving too fast causes problems? I'll give you an example. On the other side of the coin, we have a new law in West Virginia that says that somebody who has a concealed carry permit does not have to have a background check when they go to purchase a handgun. All right, those permits go for 5 years. If somebody commits a crime that would make it to where they were no longer allowed to have a gun a year after they get their concealed carry, well, there's 4 years there where they could illegally purchase a gun because there's no mechanism set up to check for that. And that's something that just didn't get put in because I guess either nobody thought of it or because they moved too fast on a law. Now that's on the other side of the coin, but still, do you think it's a good example of why you can't move too fast? You can't do reactionary law.
Well, candidly, one of Ray Hall's liberal supporters have been beating me up for asking for the water bill that we dealt with in Charleston. During the legislative discussion, the rural water director that had responsibilities for literally hundreds of the water systems around the state I asked what they thought about these new rules and regulations, and she said, we haven't seen them. And I said, well, here in the committee, we're dealing with a bill that's going to impact all these water systems throughout the state. And she says, we haven't even had a chance to look at it. So I asked to give her the opportunity to look at it overnight, 1 day delay to give us some input. And I've been accused of trying to stop the bill, which is an outrage. We're just trying to get more people impacted because she then came back and said if the bill passed as it was originally drafted, it would cause water rates to go up on everybody. So I think the legislature needs to be methodical, do its due diligence, and try to think about the ramifications and not ask or work too hastily, because we know haste makes waste. And what we need to do is try to do the right thing for the people of West Virginia.
In other words, be a legislator and not a political operative.
You know, it's this is a big responsibility. You don't always get it right, obviously, and it is a process, not a conclusion on a particular piece of legislation. So, yes, this is people's lives depend on the work that the legislative process goes, people's rights and freedoms. So it does take people who are willing to kind of roll up their sleeves and try to do it the right way, not the political way.
We'll take a break and come back with State Senator Evan Jenkins and candidate for the 3rd District Congressional seat in West Virginia. This is What's Your Opinion on WVOW.
Hi, this is Patrick Ellis with Southern West Virginia Physical Therapy. I believe that to best serve our patients, we must stay up with the latest practices and techniques. That's why we use the Graston technique to achieve more efficient and improved results in injury treatment and rehabilitation. The Graston technique is a form of soft tissue mobilization that breaks down scar tissue and reduces inflammation that causes pain and restricted movement. We've had phenomenal results using the Graston technique with many of our patients, and it could be the key to your recovery too. When your doctor orders physical therapy, choose Southern West Virginia Physical Therapy in Chapmanville. Schedule your appointment today at 304-855-9500. That's 304-855-9500.
With more than 26 years combined experience, Southern West Virginia Physical Therapy is committed to compassionate, quality, and patient-centered care. Whether it's getting you back to work or your favorite activity, even improving your quality of life, trust Southern West Virginia Physical Therapy. 304-855-9500. Man Pharmacy has what you need when you need it. Listen, you choose your doctor. Make sure you choose your pharmacy, too. Man Pharmacy fills prescriptions for all area healthcare providers, from doctor's offices to healthcare clinics to hospitals. That's what being a good neighbor pharmacy is all about. And Man Pharmacy has 2 pharmacists, and they've been your neighbors all their lives. Terry Doss and Donna Clark are both Man High School graduates, and after college, returned to Man to serve you. Man Pharmacy is a Medicare-authorized medication therapy management provider, and their drive-through hours are convenient for working families and retirees alike. They're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturdays from 9 until 2. That's convenience. Call 304-583-9910 for Man Pharmacy. That's 304-583-9910. 304-583-9910 for Man Pharmacy. They're first in service for you.
It's a special edition of What's Your Opinion, featuring 3rd District Congressional candidate and Republican nominee Evan Jenkins. And he's also the Cabell County State, or one of the Cabell County State Senators, or a state senator from Cabell County. There's more than one county in your senatorial district. Now, we were talking about some of the main priorities and some of the things you're looking at, and we can't not talk about the war on coal. So, as we're getting less and less time in the program, I want to skip to that and tell me what it looks like to you and what solutions you might have.
This war on coal is real. There is no question about it. Anybody who denies it obviously has their head in the sand. What we have to look at, first of all, is why we are where we are. And we are in this position because we had people who supported and pushed for the election of Barack Obama. You know, Nick Rahal goes around and says and claims that he's a friend of coal. But let me ask the listeners, if a friend of coal is somebody who voted to give the EPA $3 extra billion in their budget in 2009 to push a greenhouse agenda, is that a friend of coal? Is somebody like Nick Rahal, who voted for a carbon tax in the progressive budget last year, is that a friend of coal? Is somebody who voted against the RAINS Act that would have actually allowed Congress to stop the EPA overreach and regulations, exactly what we're facing right now, is that a friend of coal? So he can go around and talk about being a friend of coal and coal miners and coal communities, but when you look at the record and you see his support, and let's not forget also in 2009 when the EPA held up all those permits, some of which that are still not issued today, just like the Buffalo Mountain project for the King Coal Highway, critically important. What was Nick Rahal's initial response? His response back then was the EPA's just doing their job. Well, you know what? This is devastating, and I am an unapologetic supporter of the coal industry. This election, this November, is a referendum on the attitudes about coal. If the voters want to tell Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama, keep up the good work on your war on coal, then they can send back one of their supporters, Nick Rahal, to Congress. or if the voters of southern West Virginia want to send a message to Barack Obama and the EPA and Nancy Pelosi of let us mine our coal. We're not going to send back one of your foot soldiers. We're going to send somebody new. This quote this past week from Nick Rahal, where he said in a published article, coal companies can't hire coal miners because they can't pass a drug test, is an outrage. It's an insult. And to suggest that the problem with unemployment in the coal industry is simply because coal miners can't pass a drug test. We do have a drug problem. We are working to address, but the vast majority of unemployed coal miners and those who are looking for a job, they're proud to pass and take a drug test. They are clean. They just want to work. And for him to chalk up the fact that coal companies can't hire coal miners because they can't pass a drug test is an outrage. So my position is very clear. Unapologetic supporter of our coal miners, our coal families, and this election is going to send a resounding message to Obama and Pelosi. Let's not forget that the very first vote any Congress man or woman casts after an election is who the speaker will be. Nick Rahal, if elected, will cast that very first vote for Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker. I will not be voting for Nancy Pelosi, and I can assure you of that, and we will be electing a check and balance on this administration.
There was a time 3, 4, 5 years ago before this most recent kind of horrendous crash in the coal industry where even the governor and other people were talked about there were 700 or some mining jobs that had not been filled because there were so few that could pass the drug test. But that can't be the case now because there have been so many layoffs and we're not going through a boom cycle anymore. Do you think that means the congressman is just behind the times, or was he particularly insulting out-of-work coal miners?
His judgment on so many fronts. On Syria, he said, I just want to give the president the benefit of the doubt. As I mentioned a moment ago, when it came to the EPA holding up the permits, he said they're just doing their jobs. When asked several years ago about this administration not being supportive of coal, he said nothing could be further from the truth. This is a judgment issue, in my opinion. He's just got it wrong too many times, and the impact is too devastating. So he talks a lot now, again, about claiming to be pro-coal and wanting to have another shot at this. Why would we run the risk of allowing him to get it wrong again? It seems to me to be a clear choice that thank you for your 38 years of service, Congressman. We appreciate, you've been in office a long time, but it's time for a change. Why would anybody think that the next 2 years are going to be any different than the last 38? Is he had a great revelation in recognizing the errors of his way? I don't think so. I think we're just going to have 2 more of the same type of efforts that we've had the last 38, and all we have to do is look around, Jay, and everybody needs to ask themselves, 1, is our country heading in the right direction or the wrong direction? Number 2 is, does Washington work? 3 is the policies out of this administration that Rahal was so supportive of, is this good for West Virginia? I don't know how you can answer any of those questions other than recognizing we're heading in the wrong direction in our country. These policies are devastating to our state, its people. And 3, we can't survive 2 more years with the kinds of attacks that we have on the things we believe in. So stop doing what we've always been doing, and let's take a new direction. This is an opportunity. November is a chance for change, and we need to seize that moment, and we need to send a message, and we need to look to a brighter future for West Virginia.
Got about 30 seconds to a minute left. If there's anything that final words you want to say to the people in Logan, Mingo, Boone, Lincoln, McDowell, and Wyoming counties.
Well, I appreciate this is as I say, a unique opportunity. It's an opportunity for the voters to just not send the same kind of representation that they've always had. Southern West Virginia has a bright future if we just get government off its backs. And I will be a staunch supporter of these rights and these freedoms in our coal jobs and our communities. This is an exciting time, and we will lead our state for a brighter future.
No minced words from State Senator and Congressional candidate Evan Jenkins. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it.
We'll take this last break and end the show. It's What's Your Opinion on WVOW.
Hi, this is Patrick Ellis with Southern West Virginia Physical Therapy. I believe